Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. So it's been nearly a week since Judge McAfee handed down his ruling in the Fani Willis hearing. It wasn't a court case, it was a hearing to see if she was still able to stay on the Trump RICO prosecution, essentially, there in Georgia. And coming out of that ruling, there was some uncertainty as to will Trump's team, will Trump's lawyers be allowed to appeal this judge's decision or not. Just considering that it wasn't a normal court case, it was just a hearing. But it looks like Judge McAfee has actually allowed or is allowing for an appeal to be made. First thing is, time is of the essence. They want to get this case wrapped up before the November election. So anything that adds to this case that allows it to drag on longer essentially is good for Trump's side. And this is an important case. The communists being aided by the Democrats, essentially, maybe they are the Democrats. We just had Letitia James appoint a corrupt Judge Ingron to Trump's case where they're accusing Trump of inflating the value of Mar-a-Lago to get a higher bank loan, which everybody knows that's gone through the process. If you've ever tried to sell or buy a property, especially when there's a loan involved, they bring in appraisers. The banks make sure that they're not just giving you money, and they don't give anybody money based on what one person says or claims the value of their asset is. They never do that. They send out their people that they trust, that they pay to go and give them a value. And so those banks that loaned Trump that money that then got paid off and said it was a great business transaction because everybody made lots of money, they look out for themselves. Like I said, they're not just going to say, oh, Trump, sure, you say it's worth that much? Here, let me go ahead and give you the loan amount that you're asking for. That doesn't happen. It never has. But that ended up where Trump now has to pay like nearly $500 million to appeal that judge's decision. And coming up next week, Letitia James is going to actually start trying to seize Trump's properties. There's word that Trump might actually just allow them to take Trump Towers and show what'll happen, what these communists who have taken over our government through propaganda in the Democratic Party, as far as I'm concerned, what they'll do to those who oppose them. So, I don't know, is Trump the last hope to save America from becoming communists? I have to wonder, right? Who else is out there that's actually going to take the stand? And that's not even a guarantee. When Trump was first elected, everybody expected him to go and lock Hillary up and prosecute all those people that, had gone after him. But he didn't do that. Now, a lot of people think that since it's his second term, that he will this time. But that's all still yet to be determined, right? But certainly, Trump has to be the best decision for president in this election. The country can't handle Biden allowing communists another 4 years to just run amok, to attack. And also, the next 4 years is going to run us into the next census. Our country is being overrun by criminal migrants across the southern border from all countries across the world, not just Mexico, not just Central America. I even read a story where Biden is flying these immigrants into the country directly from the countries that they live in. Federal tax dollars paying for that. It's from the New York Post. Trump gets legal victory in Fani Willis case, likely pushing trial until after the November election. Let's read more. Donald Trump won a legal victory in the Georgia election fraud case against him Wednesday when a judge granted him the right to appeal his ruling against District Attorney Fani Willis to stay on the case. They're trying to get Fani Willis off the case. It is believed that if Fani Willis and her office are removed from the case, that there is no other district attorney that would be willing to take up this case, and essentially it will just go away like it should, because it never should have been brought in the first place. The judge even threw out the perfect phone call that Trump calls it, where he supposedly asked the guy to find him the votes, right? The infamous call that Democrats love to use as the reason why Trump should be thrown in jail. You know what I mean? But that phone call, pretty much the whole basis of the argument was thrown out. So I don't know what else there really is to that case beyond that phone call, considering it is the linchpin. But they still want to go forward. It's going to take Fani Willis and her office to do it, in my opinion, because like I said, I don't think anybody else in the country, or any other DA in Georgia is going to be willing to take on that case, especially if they still got to deal with Fani Willis and Nathan Wade trying to get their evidence, trying to get their work, all that stuff. And I just want to throw this in. Nathan Wade is walking away with $750,000, $700,000 of Georgia taxpayers' money, and he delivered no results. So, talk about, I don't know how that makes you feel, but to me, I certainly would want Fani Willis disbarred off this case, considering she just wasted $750,000 in a prosecution, a sham prosecution that most likely won't even win. But you never know, right? Corrupt judges, corrupt juries. That's the other part about that, is the jury pool is already tainted. Fani Willis has gone up in front of her church, claimed that was racism or whatever. And a lot of people that live in Georgia saw the video, and those people are potential jurors in this case. And so a district attorney that behaves like that is completely out of line. She shouldn't be allowed to practice law, and she certainly shouldn't be able to bring charges against people who are presumed innocent until she has to prove them guilty, right? Just doesn't seem right. But let's read more. Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee granted the former president's motion seeking an immediate review by Georgia's Court of Appeals of his bombshell ruling on Friday, allowing the embattled DA to continue prosecuting the case, despite her affair with prosecutor Nathan Wade. Trump and 7 other co-defendants seeking to boot Willis did not have an automatic right to appeal before the start of a trial. However, McAfee granted the rare measure, citing the importance of the case. The appeal also delays a trial from being scheduled, making it highly unlikely that it would take place before the election in November. The defendants must now wait to see if the appeals court agrees to hear the case. Trump lawyer Steve Sadow called McAfee's Wednesday decision highly significant and added he's hopeful the appeal will win. The defense is optimistic that appellate review will lead to the case being dismissed and the DA being disqualified, he added. The trial against Trump and 14 remaining co-defendants has effectively screeched to a halt since the co-defendant Michael Roman's lawyer filed explosive papers in January revealing Willis and Wade's affair and calling her to be disqualified for alleged improper conduct. And that's another thing. This whole removal of Fani Willis kind of seemed to hang on the idea that, did Fani Willis and Nathan Wade have a relationship before she hired him? Well, in my opinion, they were already friends, and they still went on those vacations together afterwards. So, did they really need to be in a romantic relationship for it to be a conflict of interest? It's like a person hiring their best friend of the same sex that they're not involved with romantically. Say I hired my best friend in the same scenarios. I was Fani Willis. I'm a DA, and my friend is a lawyer. I hire my friend to prosecute Trump, and then all of a sudden he starts paying for all the fishing trips we go on. You know what I mean? We're not romantically involved, but I'm certainly reaping the benefit of his money. And then I say that I paid it back with cash, but I don't have any documentation. I don't know. To me, that's still conflict of interest. When you consider the point of why we make rules and have laws. So after hearing 2 days of testimony last month, including Willis and Wade, McAfee found the pair didn't have a conflict of interest in the case, but the mere appearance of wrongdoing meant that one of them had to step down. Okay, so it gets back into the details that we're already aware of. I think a lot of people are going to lose faith in the justice system if people like Fani Willis are allowed to continue to prosecute people based on, their political opposition, based on ideology. We also have judges like Judge Ingron in New York who didn't give Trump a trial, didn't let Trump present his case at all, call in the banks, call in anybody that was involved with the loan that he used where he leveraged Mar-a-Lago. The judge just ruled that Trump owes nearly $500,000. $500 billion, excuse me. Trump owes nearly $500,000. How can he pay that? No, seriously, though. The judge ruled Trump owes nearly $500 million. He didn't give him a trial. That's the same thing that happened to Alex Jones. Now I think Alex Jones, he owes like $1 trillion to the people of that school. But yet, these judges, they just say, look, you're guilty. It's my decision you're guilty. You don't even get a trial. You don't get a jury. You don't get anything. we're just going to have a hearing, we're going to have a trial to determine how much you owe, what type of penalty you're going to pay to the communist regime. You know, that type of stuff is going to really hurt people's confidence in the court systems. But not only that, we need everybody to pay attention to their local elections. We need to elect good mayors. We need to elect good governors. We need to do our research and find out what these state representatives stand for. We need to get the bad ones out. We need to do the same thing with the judges. We have to pay more attention in the local elections. If we learned anything during the COVID lockdowns, it was that the governors had more of an impact on our lives directly than the president did. You remember Florida and Texas were free, where California and New York were locked down. Law-abiding citizens were being thrown in jail for just trying to live their normal lives, while criminals were being let out of jail. So I encourage everybody to look into ahead of time, do your research, and make sure that you know the person that you're electing. And right now, it just seems like everybody on the Democratic Party is in lockstep. We have to replace the old dinosaurs on Democrat and Republican Party. We need to vote for the younger people with good values. Because in my opinion, if 2024 election goes awry, the United States will be a third world country led by communists. And we know what that means when you look back at history. With that, I'm going to go ahead, ask you guys to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Please share it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.